let's say you have the best quantum computer possible available to all of you tomorrow, right? What are some of the most pressing problems that you are facing in your industry, at your university, at your own subject domain that you would like to tackle with quantum computing? And keep the answers coming in Discord. I'll quickly open up Discord on my end as well, so you can keep it interactive, and we love to discuss what are some thoughts from your end. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so the first application I see is in material simulation. Absolutely. Very, very, very interesting. Materials are something which we all are fascinated about. It has applications in almost every domain, and simulating materials in the best possible way is one of the most, I think, active problems of quantum computing today. And I see the chat just going berserk. Okay, a lot of other applications as well. Financial markets. Absolutely. In fact, we have a very interesting project in the finance domain for all of you this year. Multipartite entanglement, finding ground state of many body problems, air pollution, climate change. Absolutely. Yeah, very, very interesting problems. Drug design. Absolutely. We all went through that COVID phase, right? So we do realize how important it is to find the best drugs in the shortest amount of time. Many body simulations, quantum sensing, QKT. So yeah, when we are talking about quantum, we should also discuss a little bit beyond quantum computing. So not just computing problems, but also quantum sensing, where they're used for PNT, navigation, detecting of different gas leakages, that kind of stuff. Also QKD, right? On the communication domain, how can we secure our data today? How can we secure all of our communication challenges today? Sustainable energy, absolutely. That's a really good one. We are working with a few energy companies as well, where the most problem is about how can we convert from the fossil fuels to newer renewable resources, and where in quantum computing fits over there. So yeah, right on. Precision medicine, absolutely. Precision medicine, for those of you who do not know, let's say someone is unwell, right? And we need to find a cure for that particular person. Instead of giving some generic drugs and generic medicines to that unwell person, how about finding the very, very, very specific and precise cure for that problem, so that the drugs are fine-tuned and actually designed for that specific problem? That could be super, super interesting. So yeah, keep the questions and all the ideas coming in. But let me take this question a step forward and ask you, if we were tackling different challenges, what do you think would be the exact topic you would want to tackle first? Is it something to do with optimization? Do you want to do something about simulation or machine learning? And by machine learning, I mean quantum machine learning. Or something really, really different, something out of the world which you are thinking of, which, yeah, maybe I don't know. Okay, so a lot of simulations, a lot of QMLs, optimization as well. So I'm guessing it's kind of divided, right? We don't have a clear winner over here, which is absolutely okay. But I'm really glad that all of you are thinking along different lines over here, right? We need more diversity of ideas here. That's really cool. Now that you have decided upon some kind of a good problem you want to get solved, and the next logical question would be, what are the best quantum algorithms which you feel for your problem, right? So I don't want generic answers over here. Try to go back to the answer which you just mentioned in the previous question, and now identify what was the specific quantum algorithm that's suitable to that particular problem, right? And it's absolutely okay if you don't know that answer yet. We'll cover that in the rest of the summer program, and by the end of, let's say, July or sometime in August, you'll have a very, very clear answer to all of these questions. But I see some experts already here in the Discord chat. That's really amazing. And we already have some answers over here. Great. So we have some variation algorithms. We also have machine learning algorithms, discretization algorithms, Monte Carlo. Amazing. Quantum phase estimation, quantum Fourier transform, all very relevant algorithms. A couple of quantum annealing as well. Diagonalization-based methods, that's something really relevant in today's field. HHL, PDEs. Amazing, yeah. All of these are very relevant algorithms. And if you are kind of confirmed on the software side, the next question, if you're developing your quantum algorithm or quantum application, would be deciding what is the best hardware you would want to run your algorithm on, right? So try to make a really good roadmap of what you're building. Number one, identify the problem. Number two, identify the best quantum algorithm suitable for your algorithm. And number three, identify which is the best quantum computer for your algorithm. Remember, there are a lot of quantum modalities over here. There are a lot of quantum hardware providers as well. But it is absolutely up to you in deciding which hardware suits your software needs, right? Is it superconducting? Is it trapped ion? Is it photonic? Is it neutral atoms? Is it something else, right? And the next logical question would be, what are the different factors and what are the different justifications you have, which you would like to take into consideration, right? And again, I'll just like to point out again, it's okay if everyone is not aware of the answers yet. That is the purpose of this course, right? We will be going through all of that. But I just wanted to take a general kind of survey from what kind of audience we have joining in today, because all these questions are very important for you to ask yourself once you start doing the projects, right? I see a lot of photonics as well. I see, okay, yeah, I see really a lot of photonics in the chat. Angular systems as well, superconducting, beautiful. Topological systems, right? Yeah, interesting. Neural atoms. Yeah, so it's all very variable, right? One thing I would like to point out over here is that irrespective of what modality you are choosing, the one thing you would want to keep in mind is that different modalities or different quantum hardwares have all their pros and cons, right? There isn't a clear winner yet, which makes their decision all the more difficult. But the one thing which would point you in the right direction is start doing some literature survey, identifying which algorithms run the best on what hardwares, right? So that would automatically give you a good direction to start working in if you're just beginning into this particular field. So the gist of this particular topic would be try to choose the best tools for your quantum computing application. There isn't one tool which fits all applications. That's unfortunately the state we are all in. But that's also the one most exciting thing I'm happy about, because this gives you all of an opportunity to try out different things, test different stuff. And that is what all research is all about, right? So start dabbling your hands in different kind of algorithms, start getting familiar with different kind of quantum systems. I know most of you would be familiar with Qiskit, and that automatically targets you to IBM superconducting hardware, right? That's all amazing. But try to take some time and get familiar with photonic systems as well, something which, let's say, Penny just drives you towards that, right? Or maybe neutral atom systems or trapped ion systems. Just get yourselves familiar with all the other routines as well. Once you have all the right tools with you, we would like to understand, if you are building a quantum application, how do you ensure that this is not just a toy problem, but something which is much more scalable and suited towards real needs? So the next question for all of you would be, what is the exact criteria you would be using for differentiating your problem between just a small toy problem or something which is applicable in the real world? Okay, so I, again, want all the answers in the live chat in Discord. Speed, fidelity, number of qubits, variety of use cases, less error, sure, yeah. Cost effective, yeah, sure. Okay, all of these are very relevant answers. But over here, again, the problem is not identifying particularly what is something which encourages you to solve that problem, but more about how do you make sure that your problem is not just a problem, right? So let me give you an example. Let's say I want to solve an optimization problem. I go to Qiskit, I find a tutorial, I run that tutorial, and voila, I have the first quantum circuit ready in maybe an hour. A couple of hours stops if you're just a beginner as well, right? But that tutorial and that small toy problem running over the cloud won't solve any problem. Had that been enough to solve a real world problem, we won't be putting all of that open source yet, right? All of those will have been under a lot of paywalls and a lot of IP protection and everything. You get my point, right? If it's solving real value, it would not be open source. So my question would be, how do you make sure that that problem is a bit more scalable in terms of generating unique IP for your use case? Or if you are coming from an industry standpoint of view, how can you scale your quantum algorithm and your quantum application to a point at which it starts providing real value to your business? Wonderful. I see a lot more interesting answers now. One answer which here points out is that don't put everything on quantum just yet. Divide and conquer. So maybe parallelize between classical resources, use GPU, use quantum QPUs. That's interesting. A lot of answers I received was also on errors. Absolutely. Error is definitely a strong metric which we use in differentiating whether something is just a demo use case or something which is really scalable. Because if we have a solution which cannot be scaled beyond a certain number of qubits, it gets like really, really large error rates, then that solution is basically useless, right? It's good enough only to discuss about the problem, but not really create a real value impact at the end of it. Fault tolerance, yeah, that immediately stems from that error correction thing. And a lot of other answers too. Another point I would like all of you to think about is what actually is quantum advantage, right? So let's say you have your quantum application ready. You have somehow scaled it up to a real value. At the end of it, how do you want to measure it and compare it against classical solutions? And the gist of that is, how do you avoid comparing apples to oranges, in the sense that how do you avoid comparing your best of class quantum algorithms with an ancient classical routine which has been in the industry for many decades now, right? How do you assess what needs to be compared to what and identify where the real quantum value is coming? Accuracy and speed. Yeah, sure. Accuracy and speed. That's what we all want to compare. But accuracy and speed on what kind of problems, right? For example, if I want to simulate an optimization problem, right? On the quantum side, I am maybe doing a binary optimization, which is, let's say, unconstrained. On the classical end, the state of the art is for a constrained problem. So obviously, I cannot compare these two problems just yet, right? I want to have a fair level of comparison ensured. So my point over here is that try to think about these questions as well. And all of these questions will put directly input your problems and your projects once you start doing that. So try to think of suitable metrics which help you compare classical versus quantum approaches and have a fair benchmark in place. And believe me, this is not a question which is something you would be uniquely working on. This is not a new question. Some of the best organizations in the world, including ourselves, are working on this very exact problem. How do we create the best benchmarks possible for quantum applications today, so that at least we can get an idea what is possible today, what is possible 1 year from now, what is possible a decade from now, and when will we start seeing real quantum advantage? And finally, if you have sorted all of these questions out, where do you get started? If you are someone coming from an industry standpoint of view, and let's say, ideal case scenario, you have got the approval from your board, you have the funding you need to get started on a quantum application, who do you partner with? What kind of resources do you need to get started? And what are your first steps, right? So are there certain algorithm providers or certain platforms do you want to work with to get the best application for your industry? Or let's say you're coming from an academic background. What kind of tools and resources would make the most sense for your PhD project or postdoctoral project to get worked on, right? You need hardware, and seeing the responses on Discord again. So we definitely need hardware. But the question comes back to the previous question I asked, what kind of hardware do you use, right? Do you want a set of hardwares, like 5 different hardwares, and you want to run your solution on every one of them and somehow get a comparative chart out of it? Or do you want to focus on one specific hardware? If it's the latter, how do you choose that one specific hardware, right? A couple of other comments coming in is that we don't have a definite metric yet. So how do you decide what particular approach is important, or how do you scale it up? That's a very, very good question. And I would like you to find the answer to that, right? You want supercomputing plus parallel computing plus HPC plus Bitcoin plus cryptocurrency plus whatever you want. Okay, wonderful. You want everything to do with that. Hybrid computing with neutral atoms, wonderful, right? So you get my point, right? All of these questions are very technical. These are all very difficult questions. And someone starting from a non-quantum background needs to go through all of these relevant questions just to even start making sense of where to get started on. And it's a difficult journey. We have gone through that ourselves. 4 years back, when we started our first quantum program at Romanium, that was in 2021, we had all of these questions coming to us from our participants, from our industry partners, like how do someone get started if they want to develop their first quantum application? And throughout the years, we created something called as the Quantum Solutions Launchpad to answer that specific question, right? We understand all of those were tough questions, and that is why we started QSL, Quantum Solutions Launchpad, where our mission is to help you answer all of these questions in a step-by-step manner and accelerate your journey in quantum applications. So you start with a very fundamental discovery process and use case formulation, where we work with different kind of industries from corporate world, with different national labs all across the globe, in understanding what is the exact problem which even requires a quantum computing framework, right? We don't want to have a hammer in hand and find a nail to fix that, right? We first need to identify where is the nail out, what is the exact problem which requires quantum computing, and then go backwards from there. So we do the discovery phase. We have a very thorough use case formulation phase where we work with different organizations, identifying the exact project we want to work with them on. And then comes the application development phase, where the best thing where our teams come into the picture is that we are 100% platform agnostic. Because we have such a huge cohort of partners we work with, comparing different SDKs, comparing different quantum hardwares, that comes naturally into the pipeline. So you don't need to come with an answer upfront. You don't need to decide which quantum hardware is the best for you. You can just compare across different platforms and understand that, benchmark that, and ultimately come to an answer yourself. We analyze all the solutions. We benchmark it not only on different quantum hardwares, but also on different kind of software routines possible, benchmarking it against all the different kind of classical counterparts, and ultimately have a very good cost analysis. And this not only means that we are promoting hype over here, and we'll be saying that, hey, you have received a quantum advantage at the end of it. But we actually want to cut the hype and give a real value to our partners, understanding where quantum is even possible. And if something is not possible, what is the future looking like for that particular application, right? Is it something which would never be possible? Is it something which will become possible in the next 5 years with proper improvements in quantum hardware and quantum software? Or is there some kind of a bottleneck over here, which, maybe we need to solve collectively as a whole cohort? The end of it, the best thing of QSL is that we work with partners on very, very strong IP protected deliverables, but everything can be actually utilized in industries. We don't want to work on toy problems. That was my first question, which I asked all of our audience over here. We want to make sure that any kind of work which our fellows do, which all of the amazing Discord community we have will be contributing toward, gets replicated in real tangible benefits for our industry partners. And that is why we created QSL. Over the past years, we have had a lot of success stories with more than 85 partners now. We have had more than 8,000 quantum scholars coming in from our annual summer programs. Many of you have enrolled in for the first time. So you are in a very good community over here. Try to make the most out of it, connect with as many fellows as possible over Discord, make good connections, have good friends over here. It's ultimately your connections which would prove to be really valuable in the long run. And QSL has grown over the past 2 years to delivering more than 17 projects, undertaking more than 46 QSL fellows. And all of you have the opportunity to participate in QSL, work with us, work on these amazing projects with our partners to develop some real value for the industry, for the quantum community. And this is where I would take a tangent to start discussing how can you get involved in our project? How can you get the opportunity to collaborate on these amazing projects? And that is where QSL Fellowships come into the picture. QSL Fellowships are part-time fellowships open to everyone and anyone all across the globe. They are open throughout the year. There are two broad ways of getting selected as a fellow. The first one, which is the best possible way, is that we'll be directly recruiting from our summer program. So this way program where you're already registered, you're already doing all the exercises and assignments on Canvas. If you do perfectly good and you do some really interesting projects at the end of it, we'll be handpicking the best participants from the program to directly work with us, right? Amazing, great, really, really exciting. I'm personally very excited about this, and we have had a lot of success stories coming in from last year as well. And the second one is general applications. So this is more about someone who is maybe not having the bandwidth to participate in a summer program, and they're still very curious about the project, still about want to participate in the QSL framework. We have applications open round the year. We work on multiple projects on a rolling basis throughout the entire year. So you can always scan this QR code and submit your application over there. But this is tough, right? Because we receive thousands of applications on a weekly basis. So getting selected out of here would be, yeah, I won't sugarcoat this, right? This is going to be tough. The easy way would be to just participate in the summer program, do excellently on your assignments, on your Canvas modules, work at the end of it on some interesting projects, make sure that your value is visible to us, and get selected on these projects. And this is the timeline for all of the projects. But just a quick timeline on where all the projects are, what are the important lectures you need to review, and make sure that you would be attending these lectures. During the months of June and July, there are a few lectures from our industry partners, from different collaborators who would be specifically talking about different industry applications. So I would highly recommend these lectures, which I've pointed out on these slides, for all of you who are interested in participating in the project. And even if you are not working on a project itself, you will still be able to learn a lot from these lectures and directly implement those skills in some other industry project that you might be undertaking later on. There are three key partners with us this year: Naval Nuclear Laboratory in the US, BQP, and Vanguard. All three are very, very amazing organizations, and all three of them would be hosting projects from finance, engineering, optimization, and a few other use cases, which we'll talk about in the next couple of days. Another important point I would like to highlight is the date of July 1st. Make a note of that. July 1st is the official start date for all of your projects. So on July 1st, we'll be opening up all the registration details, all the participation details. What are the different steps you need to follow to work on these projects? So bookmark that date on your calendars and make sure that you are aware of all the process and all the steps that you need to follow to participate in this project. And a couple of more details. All the details on how to participate would also be available to all of you on Canvas, and we'll also make announcements on Discord on July 1st. So again, bookmark that date and make sure that you are aware. If someone misses any announcements, feel free to bug us, right? So you're always more than welcome to email us and ask all your questions, or just tag us on Discord, and I'll be happy to answer your questions up there as well. In terms of eligibility, anyone and everyone is more than welcome to participate. So we don't have any kind of restrictions. The only criteria is that you must be enrolled in our WISER Quantum Summer program. And that means that you must have registered on the Luma form. You should have received a confirmation email from our side. You should have access to Canvas and Discord and all the other platforms they're using. If that is something you haven't done already, I would recommend you to register again, right? If you haven't received the confirmation emails yet, make sure that you are registered. In terms of immediate next steps, nothing immediate as of now, right? So attend lectures, attend keynotes, complete all of your Canvas quizzes, and essentially just skill up, right? Make sure that you can learn most of it in the next 2 months so that you are fully prepared by July 1st to start working on a project. Brainstorm on project ideas. We already would be starting a couple of lectures with our partners today itself. So after my lecture, we would be having Dr. Abhishek from BQP share a couple of ideas on what the project with BQP would look like, followed by Dr. Brian from NNL sharing a little bit about his organization and the projects we are collaborating with NNL on, and day after tomorrow with Vanguard on the project with them. So make sure that you attend these lectures and get a general idea of what these projects are all about. You can already start brainstorming with your friends, network on Discord, start making teams as well, and yeah, start reading any additional resources which would help you prepare for these projects. But remember, all the project details, your participation instructions, and what are the formal things you need to do would only be announced on July 1st. So officially, the projects would start from July 1st. And why do you want to do these projects? Number one, for experience, right? These are some really interesting projects with very, very good partners. So I would want everyone to at least get an experience of what it is to like work on these industry projects. But beyond that, this is also a gateway for you to get selected for QSL fellowships. Other than that, all the finalists from the projects would be invited for an industry demo day, where your solution will be presented in front of our industry cohort. And this is really huge. For those of you who do not know Industry Demo Day, we'll be inviting a lot of our industry partners, a lot of our external collaborators for viewing your presentations. So this could eventually transform into many, many more opportunities for you. If someone likes your projects, they are more than welcome to reach out to you and discuss potential collaborations as well. And then we have a couple of other awards as well. We'll share more details about how these awards are judged, what is the criteria, and all of these things later on July 1st. And we would have project certificates to all successful submissions as well.